Hey guys, Adventure with Danan here. I'm just gonna I actually sold my motorcycle. I built it specifically for the Trans-America Trail, but I actually never did a walk around on all of the modifications that I did to it. And I kept a spreadsheet in Google Docs, and I will put a link to it in the description of this video. But I have every single expense that I put into this motorcycle. If there was one thing that I wish I had done that I didn't do, it's a center stand for it. And if I think of anything else, I'll let you know. All right, let's get right into the walk around. I'll explain every upgrade that I've done to it so far. Okay, let's start off at the front of the bike. So right here, Wolfman bag, fender bag, and that just holds an extra tube. Those are KC highlights, and everything that I put onto this motorcycle, I've once again is in the document that's on my website, so you can get pricing and exact models for everything. These things, amazing. So 2 of them are spot, 2 of them are flood, and it's the best thing I ever did as far as lighting. I ran the switches right here. Now this is an interesting thing. So this is just one of those thing for, you know, a retractable thing for keys. And what I did is I put a cloth and I poked a hole through it, and I just stuffed it under the cowling here. And when my windshield, face mask got dirty or anything like that, then I would just wipe it down, stuff it back under there. Next up, I put Dunlop 606s on the bike, and they did great while I was on the trail. As you can see, they don't last too terribly long. There's only 3,000 miles on this bike. Yeah. So I did a crash bars from Tusk. I think it's Moose Racing skid plate down there, aluminum skid plate. The next thing is, and I really highly recommend this, is you get foot pegs, much larger foot pegs, especially than what comes with the KLR, which is that right there, which is slippery. I did a larger spring with higher tension because I'm 250 pounds and I had about 30 pounds of gear. That made a very big difference. To give you an idea, my motorcycle would fall over on its own if a mouse farted near it without that spring, because it was just too squished down. That's a problem with these motorcycles. Let's go up to this area here. So bark busters. These are truly amazing, not just for stopping you getting whipped and rocks and stuff like that, but also wind a little bit. Let's see, the ram mount mirrors, they're so easy to move around, yet they stay in place while you're riding. Very highly recommend them, although it's not a requirement, because you generally don't even need your mirrors when you're off-road. A ram mount for your phone. I would have been so unhappy if I didn't have this. Now originally I had it here on the KLR dash that I installed. Actually, for the whole Trans-America Trail, that's where it was. However, this thing vibrates so viciously that I lost all of my little rubber things here. Luckily, I had an OtterBox, and that actually stayed on there, but I had to bend those things inward and all kinds of stuff to prevent my phone from falling off, but it didn't fall off. Tank bag, highly recommended. That's where you're going to keep your sunglasses if you're not wearing them, and other little things, a rag, your map on the top if you're using a paper map. I also put a electrical console in here. This thing, I'm not even going to recommend it, because as you can see, it claimed to have been waterproof. Yeah, not waterproof. However, the top one does still work. I like that it had a cutoff switch so you can cut the power off. And but I found that even though it says it's 5 volts, it's only out of one of them. So if you're trying to use two at the same time, you get like 2.4 volts, which means that neither of your two devices charge enough. One last thing on the phone. So what I did later is I put it on the handlebars. That made a massive difference, and so I highly recommend that. Next up, I put the Tusk Panniers on here. Now, I ended up not using these for the Tat, and for a good reason too, and that is that the first time I took this bike out is the first time I'd ever ridden a bike so heavy off-road. I was using the stock tires, I was slipping, put my foot down, and I whacked the heck out of my heel on the bottom of this thing, and that was it for me. So I went to Moscow Moto. I used the Reckless 80. That thing is amazing, and they just came out with version 3.0, which is even better than version 2.0. So what I did for the Reckless 80, for the straps for the back, is I just cut those 3 holes there, and that worked perfectly for me. I think that might be it. Oh, KLR dash, I didn't talk about that. So the KLR dash is where I mounted these lights to. So it's this piece right here, and I got it with this piece as well. So that is awesome, and honestly, I never had a problem with it. All the vibration and everything. I thought that the KLR dash was very flimsy, however, and it is. However, I never had a problem with it, and you know, I mounted 4 lights to it. Obviously, I just drilled holes straight through. You should be able to see. There you go. So I drilled those holes straight through, and everything has been totally fine. So one thing that I would recommend, though, if you're going to do this, get yourself a it depends on your height. I'm 6'2", and that windshield just doesn't direct quite enough air over my head, over my helmet. So I would get a larger dash. I'd say if it was another 3-4 inches, something like that, that would be ideal for me. So, and then I don't recommend this brand at all. Actually, it's garbage because it lets in a significant amount of sand and moisture, despite what the name is. But I kept my tools in there, and I just used radiator, what are those things called? Radiator straps, we'll call it. And those things have been amazing. They're completely flawless. So yeah, that's I think that pretty much covers everything. If you're considering getting a Kawasaki KLR, I've been really happy with the modifications that I did. There's a few more things that I would do. One, center stand for the bike. I did get a flat tire. It was the rear. We had to lay the bike down, and it could have been a lot more comfortable to do that. There's somebody, I think it's called Eagle Mike, makes a piece that stiffens up. It's like a bracket that goes between your front suspension here, and it stiffens it up. You can also, if I'm not mistaken, lower your fender and put it on there, as well as put a light or two. So if you want even more light than I've got, or you're not going to do the KLR dash, I would consider doing that for sure. I would also replace the exhaust system. This thing is like 10 pounds or something like that, and rather restrictive. There's like 8 or more baffles in it, something like that. So that's something that would be probably a little bit better efficiency and a bit better on power. But yeah, so I hope this helps somebody if they're considering doing a KLR build. I hope it helps them to kind of figure out what they want to do. If you're going to be doing a fair amount of adventure riding, I very highly recommend doing soft panniers over the hard ones. However, the hard ones, you can just take those things off and carry them like briefcases and bring them into the hotel with you if you're going to the hotel. And then, yeah, and another thing I was considering doing was creating a bracket system where I could take this top, kind of flip it over and put it on here and use that as a table. But obviously I never used them, and so I didn't do that. And now the bike is sold. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I do actually watch and answer my comments. but I hope this was helpful to somebody. Let me know if you have questions. Hey, one last thing. I recorded my entire adventure on the Trans-America Trail. So if you'd like to see those videos, I went from West Virginia all the way to Mississippi, one day into Mississippi. So the videos they're some of my first videos. So they're lengthy, each one's about 20 minutes. But I give you updates throughout the video and you get an idea of what the terrain's like. So if you're interested in learning about the Trans-America Trail, I will put a link to the video series in the description, and maybe at the end of this video, I'll just put it at the end of this video where you can link to it there, and I'll put a little pop-up card somewhere there maybe, and yeah, you'll figure it out. Anyhow, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great one. See you later.